Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are taking an incredible journey through time to witness the evolution of San Francisco over the past 12,000 years. We will travel from a world shaped by the last ice age to one of the most famous cities on Earth. Every stage of this transformation is based on historical and scientific evidence, showing how nature, indigenous cultures, exploration, industry, innovation, and modern technology gradually created the San Francisco we know today. Around 12,000 years ago, the landscape looked dramatically different from what we see today. The last ice age was coming to an end, and global sea levels were much lower than they are now. The area that would one day become San Francisco was not yet surrounded by the familiar coastline. Large grasslands stretched across the region, while rivers flowed through valleys that are now submerged beneath the waters of the Pacific Ocean and San Francisco Bay. Massive mammals such as mammoths had recently disappeared, but elk, deer, wolves, mountain lions, and countless birds still thrived throughout the landscape. The climate gradually became warmer, causing glaciers around the world to melt and sea levels to rise. As thousands of years passed, the ocean slowly flooded the valleys, creating what would eventually become San Francisco Bay. This was not a sudden event but a gradual transformation that took many centuries. Salt marshes formed along the shoreline, wetlands expanded, and rich ecosystems developed. Fish populations increased, migratory birds found ideal habitats, and the region became one of the most biologically diverse areas along the Pacific coast. Long before European explorers arrived, Native American communities had already lived in this region for thousands of years. The Ohlone people developed deep knowledge of the local environment. They built villages near fresh water, gathered acorns from oak forests, harvested shellfish from the bay, caught salmon in rivers, and hunted deer throughout the surrounding hills. They carefully managed the land through controlled burning, encouraging healthy forests and productive grasslands. Their understanding of nature allowed them to live sustainably for countless generations. For thousands of years, the landscape remained relatively unchanged. Seasonal migrations of wildlife continued, forests matured, wetlands flourished, and native communities maintained a balanced relationship with the environment. The hills surrounding the future city remained covered with native grasses, shrubs, and scattered oak trees. Thick fog rolling in from the Pacific Ocean became one of the region's defining natural features, cooling the land during summer months. Everything began to change in the 16th century when European explorers started sailing along the Pacific coast. Although they passed nearby, they did not immediately establish permanent settlements. The coastline remained largely untouched by European influence for many years. In 1769, Spanish explorers reached the region by land, marking the beginning of major historical change. A few years later, Spanish missionaries established Mission San Francisco de Asís, also known as Mission Dolores. Around the mission, farms, livestock, and small settlements gradually appeared. The Spanish introduced horses, cattle, sheep, wheat, and many European plants that permanently changed the local ecosystem. During the early 19th century, California became part of independent Mexico following Mexico's independence from Spain. The mission system gradually declined, and large ranches known as ranchos dominated the surrounding countryside. Cattle ranching became the primary economic activity, while the settlement near the bay remained relatively small. Everything changed forever in 1848. Gold was discovered in California, triggering one of the largest migrations in American history. News spread rapidly across the world. Within months, thousands of fortune seekers arrived by ship from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. The small settlement transformed almost overnight into a booming port city. By 1849, Ships crowded the harbor in astonishing numbers. Many sailors abandoned their vessels to search for gold, leaving hundreds of ships anchored and deserted. Streets quickly filled with hotels, warehouses, businesses, banks, and markets. Wooden buildings rose almost overnight, and the population exploded from just a few hundred residents to tens of thousands within a remarkably short time. Rapid growth also brought major challenges. Fires repeatedly swept through the young city because many structures were built from wood and stood close together. Each disaster led to rebuilding efforts using stronger construction methods. Brick and stone buildings gradually replaced many wooden structures, making the growing city more resilient. Throughout the second half of the 19th century, San Francisco developed into the financial and commercial center of the American West. Railroads connected California with the eastern United States, allowing goods, people, and ideas to travel more efficiently than ever before. Banks financed mining operations, agriculture, shipping, and industrial expansion across the region. The city also became one of America's most culturally diverse communities. Immigrants from China, Ireland, Italy, Germany, Japan, and many other nations contributed to its growth. One of the oldest and largest Chinatowns in North America developed here, becoming an important cultural and economic center that still exists today. During the late 19th century, horse-drawn transportation gradually gave way to cable cars. Designed to climb the city's famously steep hills, San Francisco's cable car system became both an engineering achievement and a lasting symbol of the city. Many of these historic cable cars continue operating today. Then came one of the darkest moments in the city's history. On April 18, 1906, a massive earthquake struck Northern California. Violent shaking destroyed thousands of buildings. Broken gas lines ignited fires that burned for several days. Much of the city was devastated, and hundreds of thousands of people were left homeless. Despite the destruction, residents immediately began rebuilding. Reconstruction transformed San Francisco into a more modern city. Wider streets, stronger buildings, improved infrastructure, and stricter engineering standards gradually emerged. Businesses reopened, neighborhoods recovered, and confidence returned remarkably quickly. The 20th century brought tremendous technological and industrial progress. Electric streetcars expanded transportation. New skyscrapers appeared in the financial district. Manufacturing industries grew, while the busy port continued supporting international trade across the Pacific Ocean. One of the city's greatest engineering achievements opened in 1937. The Golden Gate Bridge connected San Francisco with Marin County across the Golden Gate Strait. At the time, it was the world's longest suspension bridge span and quickly became one of the most recognizable landmarks on Earth. Its elegant Art Deco design and striking international orange color made it an enduring global icon. Later that same year, another remarkable infrastructure project opened. The San Francisco, Oakland Bay Bridge strengthened transportation across the bay, linking communities and supporting the region's continued economic growth. During World War II, San Francisco became one of America's most important military and shipping centers. Shipyards operated around the clock, naval facilities expanded, and millions of troops passed through the city on their way across the Pacific. Following the war, suburban development accelerated throughout the Bay Area. New highways connected surrounding communities, while population growth continued throughout the region. Universities, research institutions, and innovative companies increasingly shaped the local economy. Beginning in the second half of the 20th century, nearby Silicon Valley emerged as one of the world's leading centers of technology. Although many technology companies were headquartered south of the city, San Francisco became closely connected with the growing innovation economy. Entrepreneurs, engineers, investors, and startups increasingly made the city their home. The late 20th century also saw major investments in public transportation, environmental protection, waterfront redevelopment, and historic preservation. Old industrial areas gradually transformed into parks, residential neighborhoods, museums, and cultural attractions while preserving much of the city's historic character. Entering the 21st century, San Francisco became one of the world's leading centers for finance, biotechnology, software development, artificial intelligence, tourism, education, and entrepreneurship. Its skyline continued evolving with modern skyscrapers while historic neighborhoods remained an essential part of the city's identity. Despite its success, the city also faces significant challenges. Housing costs have risen dramatically, homelessness remains a serious concern, earthquakes continue to pose natural risks, and climate change threatens coastal infrastructure through rising sea levels. Engineers, scientists, urban planners, and policymakers continue working to improve resilience for future generations. Today, San Francisco is home to hundreds of thousands of residents representing cultures from every corner of the world. Historic cable cars still climb steep hills. The Golden Gate Bridge continues welcoming millions of visitors each year. Modern technology companies operate alongside historic neighborhoods that preserve stories stretching back centuries. Looking toward the future, San Francisco is expected to continue evolving through sustainable architecture, renewable energy,